right? I'll just hold on. I'll include the Java jar files as well in the project for Selenium. I'll create a new class, right? And call it identification, right? You write over here driver equals to new Firefox driver, alright? So, and hold on, alright? Now, you write over here driver.get http login.yahoo.com, right? So, if you actually go to the web page, say login.yahoo.com, okay? Now, over here, you have this username field, okay? You can enter the username, password, and sign in. If you investigate this username field with the help of Fireball, right, then you see that this username field has got an ID. The ID of this field is username, right? So what I can do is I can write over here driver dot find element by. Now there are so many identification mechanisms, out of which the ID is the simplest one. If an object has got an ID, you can simply give the ID of the object and find the object on the page. And this will return you driver.find element will return you the reference of web element username equals to this. What is web element? Web element is a generic interface which represents every element on a page. A button is a web element, right? Everything is a web element, right? In the username field, if you have to type in something, you can write username dot send keys is the function. Okay, you can type in anything. Say I will type uh, Selenium. Okay, so when you run this, the browser opens, it goes to yahoo.com, and Selenium is typed inside the text field. That's fine. That's okay. That's what we had looked at. Right. Now every time it's not necessary for an object to have an ID. Okay. For example, this sign in link on the top. If you have to click on it, and if you observe it inside the page source, okay, it's got an ID. Uh, yeah, for example, this link, add feedback. Okay, this link has got no ID, right? It's not necessary that each and every object will have an ID. All right. So you have to be a little bit careful. Fine, right? So what happens when an object is not having an ID? Look, when object is not having an ID, you have got other identification mechanisms out of which XPath is preferred. Fine. Now, what is an XPath? If you talk technically, what XPath is? XPath is like the address of the element. Fine. For example, in a city, every house has a house number. In a building, every flat has a flat number. Fine. So similarly, every object has got an X path, which the X path basically uniquely identifies the object. Okay, the X path basically uniquely identifies the object. Right? I hope you got my point. Now, what do you mean by X path? How do you form the X path? Okay, the X path is formed from the HTML code, right? Now, how is X path formed? Let me open a notepad and explain it to you. Right? Now there are two types of XPaths. XPaths have also got category. One is known as complete or absolute XPath. One is known as a partial XPath. Okay, these are the two types of XPaths you are having. Fine. Now what do you mean by complete and partial XPath? For example, if I look at say this image Yahoo on the top, you see this image Yahoo? I want to find the XPath. Now I know that this is a span. Fine. Now basically, if you want to find out the complete XPath of the Yahoo image, right, you have to traverse from the top of the document, HTML document. Look, everything starts from the HTML tag in the HTML document. Okay. For a complete XPath, you will write over here HTML. Fine. Now inside HTML, there are two tags, head and body. Right? So these are the two tags inside the HTML tag. In from both of these tags, I am interested in the body tag because my hold on span, which represents the Yahoo image, this is the span, is inside the body tag. Okay, right? So this is the body tag. Fine. So you write over here HTML/body. Okay. You'll try to reach the span tag like this, from moving from the base of the document. Now inside the tag, if you observe carefully, then there are various division tags. These are the various division tags, some script tags and all that stuff. Okay. Now which one I am interested in? In the first division, the span. Okay, the span actually lies inside the first division. Okay, the span actually lies inside the first division. Okay, right, and inside the first division there are tags. Link tag is there, style tag is there, div tag is there, right? Okay, so where do you want to go? You want to go inside this div tag. Okay. So you will write over here slash div. Right. Inside this div tag, you have got another div tag, which is this one. Inside it, there is another div. Then there is another div, and then there is a link, and then there is a span tag. So you will keep on going like this. Okay, you will keep on traversing the tags like this, and in the end, you will get the span tag. Okay, this is the complete XPath. Look, you don't have to calculate the complete XPath manually. Okay, in Firebug, then on top of Firebug, you can also install an add-on known as FirePath. I've already installed it over here, right? I'll tell you how to install it. You have to go to Google and type download Firepath. So this is Firepath. Okay, add-ons for Firefox. You go over here, right? And you can add the Firepath to Firefox. Open this in Firefox, right? And uh, once you have done that, okay, your Firefox will restart. Okay, your Firefox, you have to restart your Firefox. It will not obviously restart itself. You have to restart your Firefox, and then you again go to the website login.yahoo.com. And when you open up Firebug now, in Firebug you will have the Firepath tab in the end, right? In the Firepath tab, click on this drop down thing and you select that generate the absolute XPath. Okay. Now when you move your mouse on anything, for example Yahoo image, so you will get the absolute XPath for this. Okay, this is the absolute XPath, right? For you can identify this object using this XPath. Okay. Madhumita is asking a question how to find in Chrome. I'll just tell you, Madhumita, just give me 5 minutes. Right? Now, if you look at the username field out here, then the username field has got this export, right? Okay. Yes, Ankit, the XPath is there for every object on the page. Every object on the page, the XPath will be there for every object. Okay. Now, this kind of XPath you should avoid using. Why you should avoid using this kind of XPath? Because suppose this is the XPath which I have highlighted. It's the XPath for the username field. Okay. Now it starts from the base of the document, right? And it goes till the field. All right. It starts from the base of the document and it goes till the username field. Now in between there are many tags. Now suppose the developer changes the website tomorrow. Okay, he removes the tag or he adds a new tag in between, then this XPath will go for a toss. Rather, if you look at the password XPath as well, then the password XPath is this one. Okay, now it looks similar. This part and both the XPaths is same. Okay, in username and password XPath, both these paths are same. Now, if tomorrow a new tag is added in between, then it will reflect both the XPath. Okay, and you will have to go and dig into your code and change the XPaths and all everywhere, which is not a very easy thing once you actually make the code and deploy it and all. So you have to change everything, which becomes a little tough thing. Okay, so this is the disadvantage of this XPath. The advantage is that it is very accurate. It starts from the base of the document and it goes till the element under investigation. Okay, so that's why we can take dynamically as well. I'm coming to everything, I'll tell you. Right now, that's why we use partial XPath. Okay, we use partial XPath to avoid this kind of thing. This kind of XPath is always avoided until or unless it is okay. Otherwise, it is avoided. Fine. Now, partial XPath. What do you mean by partial XPath? Partial XPath is something which firstly starts with a double slash. Okay, partial XPath will always start with a double slash. For example, if I write double slash star, this is a partial XPath. Okay, this XPath means any element on the page, any object on the page. Double slash star. Star means anything, right? It's a part of regular expressions, right? Now, if I write over here double slash input, that means all the input tags on the page. If I write double slash a, that means all the links on the page. Okay. Now, if you look at the username field on yahoo.com, okay, and you uncheck the option generate absolute XPath out here, fine, and you move your mouse over this. So you will get an XPath like this, that there is a component on the page double slash star, that means any element on the page. I told you, right, double slash star means any element on the page, but the ID of that element is username. Okay, this thing represents that there is any element on the page whose ID is username. To be more specific, I can put it like this: there is an input tag on the page whose ID is username. This is more specific. Okay, right? So this is something which is, which comes with practice as well. You have to give a little bit of attention towards it. Now, if I look at, now this was username field. Okay, suppose if I look at the XPath for add feedback, then I get an XPath like this. Now, how is this XPath formed? A partial one. Okay, now XPath by Firebug is formed on the basis of ID. So please note that Firebug makes the XPath on the basis of ID. Now, add feedback or any other link. Hold on. Now, this was in a frame. That's the problem. Hold on. Let's forget about add feedback. Just 1 minute. Yeah. For example, this image. Oh, okay. This is also frame. Yeah. For example, this link at the bottom, the footer, the terms link. Okay, right? Now, if you look at this terms link in HTML code, if you look at the HTML code, then this is the terms, right? If you observe in the HTML code, it is highlighted over here. If you look in Firepath, you get the Firepath, you get the XPath of this, right? You get this XPath, right? Now, how is this XPath formed? Okay, if you observe carefully, then this is the terms link A. Okay, now it's not got any ID. It's not got any ID. So what Firepath does is it moves one tag above. One tag above, it finds a para tag. Okay, now para tag is also not having any ID, right? So it moves one tag above, which is the div tag. Now div tag is having an ID, which is mem underscore ft. Okay, so it starts making the XPath from the div tag. Hold on, right? So this is the XPath, right? So it starts making the XPath from the div tag. So it maps in the XPath first there is a div tag. This is the one whose ID is memft. Under that, this is the para tag. Okay, and under that, this is the link. Okay, you are able to map it, right? Fine. So this is how stuff works. All right. So if the object under investigation is not having an ID, right, Firebug will keep on traversing tag above that object till the time it doesn't get an ID. Okay. What if it doesn't get an ID anywhere? If that's the case, then it will form the complete XPath. All right. I hope you're getting me. Fine. So over here, if I write web element username equals to driver dot find element by the XPath, and suppose I provide the XPath of the username field, which is this one or this one, any one of them I can provide. Right, I provide a little better one. This way also type in inside the text field. Okay, so when you run this, where should we use partial XPath and where should we use absolute XPath? Look, we should always use our partial XPath. Okay, there's a question being asked. Where should we use partial XPath? Where should we use absolute XPath? I would suggest always use partial XPath. Okay, don't use absolute XPath. But sometimes the object is not identified. Okay, for example, that I was automating something in Facebook and the object was not being identified by partial XPath. I took the complete XPath and it got identified. So in those kinds of cases, you can take the complete XPath. Okay, right? So, mm, right. So now this is everything X, right? So you got the idea about XPath. Okay. Now one thing which I want to um, teach you is that, before I move forward and tell you about XPath and all, you need to know about the concept of Firefox profiling. Why? Because if you look at this thing, if I run this program, then you will observe that the Firefox which opens up, right? Okay, there are some questions being asked. Few questions. Doesn't XPath, hold on. Okay, fine. I'm getting few questions out here. Hold on. First of all, Mahendra is asking a question. Doesn't XPath need to be changed if UI gets changed in the application? What is the best option? XPath or XPath doesn't stand at the look, if the UI is changing in the application, right, obviously the XPath can change. Okay, it depends to some extent the UI changes is changing the XPath or not. For example, an XPath like this, an input tag with ID username will remain same if the ID remains same. Okay, right? So you cannot predict whether the XPath is. It depends on till what extent your UI has changed. Okay, right? So now, Manju is asking a question. When I use Firebug, I see an XPath like this. Yes, you will see an XPath like this. Double slash star ID equals to username. Double slash star means any object on the page, okay, whose ID is username. Fine. Okay. Now there's another question being asked by Nitya. Is finding an XPath of an element by its ID the best way to practice uniquely or also changes things? Well, Nitya is asking a question that will you be always finding the XPath based on ID? No, we also find it on some other you can say factors, right, which I will be discussing in the later classes. But in the beginning, I just told you this that Firebug will keep on traversing the elements and look at the ID and then find the XPath. Okay, right? Now there's another question being asked. Can you please explain web element again? Right? Can you please explain the web element again? Now, web element. When you write web element username, whenever you write driver.find element, it finds the element on the page and returns you reference of web element interface. Okay. If you look at seleniumhq.org, okay, if you look at seleniumhq.org, you go to the download section and you look at the Java documentation. Right. Now, what is web element? Right. Everything is categorized under web element in Selenium. Okay. A button is a web element, a text field is everything is on the page. Whatever you see on the page, link, button, text field, drop down, radio button, everything is a web element. And these are the generic operations which you can perform on a web element. Okay. So when you write driver.find element, it finds the element on the page, username, Now what do you want to do with it? You type username dot send keys. If you look at the web element interface, then send keys function is out here, and it's clearly mentioned use this method to simulate typing into an element. Okay, right? So this is what web element is, right? I would request you whenever you ask a question on WebExtract, please direct it to everyone so that everyone can see the question. Okay? Can you? I'm coming over to question asked by everyone. I'm coming one by one. There is a question being asked again, like, can you give us an example where complete XPath is used and where partial XPath is used? Give an example if you go to the site like iremember.pfc.com. If you look at this call us link out here, if you look at it in Firebird, then there is no ID, nothing on this page. If you even if you have unchecked the option that I don't want to generate an absolute XPath, still it will generate an absolute XPath because it's not able to find any ID or something, right? So this can be the closest example which I can tell you right now. All right. So now Mahendra is asking a question that every time we need to change the script if UI is getting changed. Look, Mahendra, it depends. It depends. For example, I go to the timesofIndia.com, fine, and if I look at this website in Mozilla, then everybody knows that the complete website will change every day because the news changes, right? But the layout remains same. If I look at the XPath of this heading, then this is the XPath. If tomorrow the heading changes, the XPath will remain the same. XPath is like the address of the element. Okay. Now, if the layout of the page changes that in such a way that the location of the objects is also changing. Today the link is over here. Tomorrow it goes somewhere out here. Fine. Then there is a high probability that the XPath will change. Otherwise, it remains same. And if you calculate the XPath in Mozilla, you can also do the same XPath in Chrome as well. Don't think that the XPaths will differ in different browsers. No. What is an XPath? XPath is derived from the page source. The page source for almost all the web applications, right? It remains the same for different browsers. Okay, right? Now there's another question being asked by Tara. What do you do if the objects are duplicate? What if two objects have the same ID? For example, on the web page login.yahoo.com, okay, what if there had been two objects with the ID username? Okay, right? So what will you do? Look, the thing is, you should know how the function driver.findElement works. Okay, where driver.findElement, Selenium starts to scan the page. It starts to find the object and it moves from the top left to the bottom right. Okay, it scans the page like this. Okay, it scans the page like this. Right, now there are two objects with same ID, which should not happen obviously. Two objects should never have a same ID, but by chance if the developer has done the mistake, two objects are having same ID. One object is suppose out here, the other object is out here. So if you write driver.findElement, Selenium will go and find this particular element. The first element which it finds, it will use it. What if you want to use the second one and all? We will talk about it later on. But understand how driver.find element works. Okay, driver.find element works when um, it works in such a way that it finds the first object on the page. Okay, right now, uh, Charuta, I think you got the answer, right? In the last class, I was talking about mandatory and optional properties. From where to get such a list? There is no place, Madhumita, where you can get such a list. It only comes with practice. There is no way. If you want, you can send me an email. I'll send you the Excel file. Okay. Mahendra is asking again, like question: if the UI changes frequently, people, if it is agile-based development. Look, Mahendra, that's the problem. People start using Selenium without even thinking that where it should be used. Look, what is the concept of automation? The concept of automation came up during the functional testing part when the application used to become stable. Okay, people used to again and again regression test it, right? When there used to be a small change, you had to completely test the application, right? Okay, now everybody knew that fine, if there are 1000 test cases and if the application is stable, for example, a stable application like gmail.com, it is stable, right? Suppose they do a minor change, then they will have to again completely test the complete application, which is a tiresome process. Even the tester knows that the probability of finding a bug is very low because the application is stable. So automation tools were introduced like QTP, Selenium to test those kinds of applications. Automation is always done on stable projects. Please note that if your project is under development, don't try to make an automation script for that. Because most of the times, 80% of the times, people end up wasting more time because what happens is that when the project is being developed, it is very unstable. Manually, you find so many bugs. Half the systems are not working at times. Okay, so you need, even if it is agile based system, you should never. That's what my personal opinion is. Don't make the automation script. Make it in the end when everything goes stable. Yes. So when the project is under development, manual testing is preferred. Fine. Once the project is stable, the bugs they are gone and everything is okay, and the final go ahead is gone on the project, done on the project. That fine, there will be no more UI changes and all. Then you should go for it. Just a minute. There's a question because if application is in building stage at that time, can we use automating through code? Or if the application is under uh, building stage, then you should always do manual testing, Mahendra. That's what my personal opinion is. Don't even try to automate it. You'll end up time wasting time, and wasting time means you end up wasting money. Right? That's the problem. Okay. So Madhumita is asking question: is there any way list of all child elements and finally get the required one? I cannot understand your question, Madhumita. I couldn't understand your question. If you want to talk, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question as well. What do you mean by if you want to get list of all child elements? Okay, okay, I got your point. I got your point. Suppose there are multiple similar tags under the same tag or something. I will talk about it, right? I will talk about it. That comes at a later stage. I will talk about it how it can be done, right? So basically, I talked about the function driver dot find element, which finds a web element, and it basically you can use by XPath or by ID or XPath is like the address of the element. There can be two types of XPath: partial XPaths and complete XPaths, right? Okay, fine. There is one more question being asked. Uh, what if two objects have same XPath? Well, what if two objects have same XPath? Generally, two objects, if you look through Firebug, they will not have same XPath. But you can form a common XPath for multiple objects as well, right? So that's what I am telling you. Suppose if there are two objects on the page with same ID, if this is an XPath for the two objects on the page, right? Then driver dot find element will find the first object. It will scan the page from the top left to the bottom, okay, and it will find the first object. All right, fine. Right. So, look, the next topic which I wanted to take up was the concept of Firefox profiling. Do you know the concept of, or hold on, somebody asked me how to find the expert on Chrome. It's quite easy, right? On Chrome, suppose I want to get the XPath of this text field. You right click on this text field, select inspect element. That element will be highlighted on the page. Okay. You right click on the highlighted element and select the option copy XPath. The XPath will be copied and you can paste it over here. Only thing is, instead of double quotes, you have to provide single quotes. So in Chrome also you can calculate the XPath like this. But you know what? The XPath remains the same across the browsers. Obviously, if your application is not opening differently in different browsers, the XPath will remain same. You calculate the XPath on Chrome, you calculate the XPath on Mozilla, you use it on IE, that can be done. Right. Yes, but I'll come over to that question that suppose we don't want to get the first object, we want to get the next object. I'll talk about that one. You'll have to get all the objects in a list and then use it. I'll talk about that. Right. Now about Firefox, there is one important thing that if you run this program, then a blank Firefox window opens up and it goes to the website and it types in the username field. Right. But there is a catch over here. If you look at this Firefox carefully, then it's got no Firebug. It's also not got the bookmarks and all which you had in your original Firefox. It's like a fresh Firefox window which opens up. It's not got any add-on which you had like Firebug or Firepath. It's not got the bookmarks which you were having in your regular Firefox. Now, how does this happen? Right? This happens with the concept of Firefox profiling. Alright. Anybody out here knowing about Firefox profiling? Do you guys know about Firefox profiling? Okay. Some people are saying no, some people are saying yes. Okay. Look, in Firefox, what happens is, to be very quick, you can create multiple profiles. Right? I'll tell you what to do. Hold on. First of all, close Firefox from File Exit menu. Okay. Close Firefox from File Exit menu and then go out here and type in Windows Run firefox.exe hyphen t profile manager. This is the command, right? When you give this command, a window like this opens up. I'll give you this command on WebEx chat as well. Right. Now this is the default profile which is there on my machine. I can create a new profile called as, say, I'll create a new profile Selenium. Fine. And when you select this profile, you start the Firefox. Then what happens is that a brand new Firefox opens up. It's got no older bookmarks. It's got no add-ons and all, Firebug and all, nothing. Okay. So you can create multiple instances of Firefox in your machine like this and keep different settings in each instance. Suppose you and your brother both are sharing the same machine. So your brother can create his own Firefox profile and use that profile for his use. He can store his set of settings in that Firefox profile, and you can store your set of settings in your Firefox profile. Right. Now when Selenium starts the Firefox, it creates its own profile and it starts it, and that profile is destroyed in the end. That's why you don't get any fire path, nothing inside it. If you want, you can instruct Selenium to open a specific profile as well. For example, in my machine, there are two profiles, default profile and Selenium profile. I can tell Selenium that go and open the default profile. Okay, right? Now, how do I tell Selenium that? We'll talk about it in the later classes. I don't have enough time for that. Fine. So practically,